Hello, this is the very first Cal's Questions in association with Ampersand Productions. As you can see, you're joined by Paul and Derek of DMDM Studios. Yes, a huge welcome to all of you. Remember to catch us on Thursdays for Homebrew Havoc. But I am delighted to say that we have our very first guest here, and that is, as mentioned, Derek from DMDM Studios. Yes, Derek, hello.
Hi.
How you doing? Good. I just wanted to, obviously I know you from, we used to do Curse of Strahd, and Descent into Avernus is coming soon on your channel, which myself and Paul are also a part of.
Yeah,
but
super excited.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be good. But yeah, I mean, you are, in my view, one of the most busiest people in the TTRPG community. Please, just tell us about yourself for all the listeners.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty broad topic for me to talk about. Just talking about myself, I'm a dude, I guess. You know, we're all kind of people. We have like complex shit going on. But is it okay if I curse? Sorry.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah. Have you seen Homebrew Havoc? Oh my words!
That's fair. I have seen Homebrew Havoc. And that's fair.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess last year I was teaching, doing the same job that I'm doing now, but I was getting kind of burnt out on it, getting kind of bored of it. And so I tried my hand at finance, and that did not work out. And so I was unemployed for a period of time. And in that period, I just said, you know, fuck it. I really want to make actual plays. I really want to share my creativity with the world. I want to have a group of people that I can, you know, actually like come to rely on, and have some friends that I can actually enjoy being around other than just feeling obligated to, because life put us in the same general vicinity. Like we all kind of grow up having those friends. And so I just kind of set out and started doing it. I was on like one shot that ended up being like a 2-shot. Shout outs to Andrew Kaiser. He was the first person that gave me like an opportunity to be on their Twitch channel and stuff. And yeah, from then on, it was like, okay, I think I get it. I'm gonna figure it out and just start working at it. Been making maps in Incarnate for a while too, so being able to give out free maps and stuff like that, or share with other people what it is that I'm working on for my own stuff, and just be like, if you want to use this for whatever you want to use it for, go ahead. You know, that also helped me a lot. Having some kind of auxiliary resource that I can bring to the table aside from just I'm a guy with a Twitch. Like, because I mean, really, like anybody can be a guy with a Twitch channel, and that's not a bad thing, right? Like that's one of the great things about Twitch, is that literally anybody can do it. But I do think that a lot of the reason why I've met a little bit of success in my first 6 months in the space is because of the networking aspect.
Yeah.
That kind of harkens back to what I was talking about with like wanting like a group of friends that I can come to rely on. You know what I mean? Like I feel like myself, like many other people that I've known, and I'm sure many people that I don't know this about, but it's probably true, is that like we've been pulled around a lot of our lives. We've been told that there's a specific order in which you're supposed to act, and if you breach that protocol, then you're on the wrong side of what it is that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And for me, that was religion. Like I was raised in a super conservative household, so Dungeons and Dragons wasn't really something that I was like. I mean, I didn't think it was like demonic or anything, but the Satanic Panic definitely, like, it was huge in America, especially in like the Bible Belt in the South where I live and grew up. So there was definitely like some like influence in this space, especially coming to grips with who I am as a person and like aspects of my own identity that I felt like I had to like shut down. So I really, after like years and years of that, and then like just trying desperately to find somebody and some other thing that was like a plug and play, just like, oh, this is what I was missing from my life. I realized that's not going to happen, and that that's not a real thing. You can't just plug and play somebody else's operating system into your own life and anticipate that it's going to function correctly. You have to do the legwork, put in the man hours, and figure out what it is you want in the first place, which I'll be honest with you, I'm just kind of like a dog with a car. I kind of know what I want, and I'm kind of trying to get to it, but I don't have like it articulated and like, oh, I want to earn this much a year doing Twitch and such. It's like, no, I have ambitions and I have dreams like we all do.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm just trying to get there.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. I mean, I see you all over the place, just working so hard, and you're creating this community, this sort of. Well, it's a TV channel for TTRPG community, and it's quite something. You should be very proud of that, by the way. You've done an awesome job in a short space of time. I mean, Paul, what do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. I see you pretty much everywhere on the Twitterverse. You're always popping up in my newsfeed. I think it's fantastic. You were how I first got into TTRPG in terms of Twitter and D&D and having a platform for free to show my style of DMing on. So yeah, I was basically founded on the DMDM Studios TV channel. So without that, I wouldn't have Homebrew Havoc or any of it. I mean, this is where me and Callum met. So I owe my entire life. Yeah, I owe my entire life to you, Derek. So no pressure, but it's all on you.
Yeah, no pressure, but you have made us. Oh man, that's awesome! Yeah, no, I second that. I mean, yeah, you are the reason me and Paul have met and started working together with Homebrew and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons and growing up with that side of things. But are there other TTRPGs that you enjoy on the same level as D&D or?
Oh yeah, 100%. For me, D&D was like the first one that I played, right? Like probably for many people, but it is not by any stretch of the imagination like the only game that I play. I love Legend of Five Rings. It's a D10. It's a very crunchy game. I really like crunch. Something that people probably know about me at this point, if they know who I am, is I'm a numbers guy when it comes to the game. Like to me, the numbers kind of make it feel a little bit more real, and so I really like that aspect of it. I also just for the first time played Dark Heresy, which is a Warhammer 40k tabletop this past week, and oh man, it was so cool, dude. It was so cool. I cannot wait to play more of that game. We've got a lot of other games that we run on the channel, though, too. It's not strictly D&D. We just finished a Blades in the Dark campaign, which was like the first full start-to-finish campaign that we ran on the channel. Shoutouts to CC for that. Mm-hmm. He did a wonderful job. It was a great time. Blades in the Dark is really cool. If you've never played that, it's very improv heavy. I really liked that. And then Andy, the Lost Haven Art, the guy that runs L5R on my channel on Sundays, we're taking a break from L5R while we're playing a Caltrop core game that he made called Irazumi.
Oh, wow. He made it. That's amazing. And, I mean, there's other things you've been involved with creation as well. And I can hear a dog. That's amazing.
That's me. That's me. Sorry.
The artifacts of the Arcadian Sentinel. Would you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. That was something that I made with Lost Haven, with Andy.
Legend?
Absolute legend. He had some commissioned artwork that somebody made and then never paid him for, so he never finished it for them. So it was just kind of concepts that he was like, oh, I could do this with, I could do that with. He's like, I want to do something with it, I'm just not sure. I was like, well, I mean, if you want, I could come up with some mechanics for it, and we can work together to write some lore and stuff for it. And he was like, yeah, we'll try out how that goes. And I mean, it was a blast. It was a blast making it. We spent a good amount of time making it. I know the art. Again, legend. He can kick out phenomenal art in a day. I do not understand how he does it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for real. I took my time reading and rereading the mechanics and stuff, just want to make sure that I got it right the first time. This is the first actual supplement that was going to have my name on it, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. And I know there's a couple of typos in the book. I'm sorry, it slipped through. I know of one particular that it's just syntax and just crazy.
Oh no, it's that word just going over and over in your head. Oh man, it happens. Don't worry about it. No, I look forward to it. I'll be getting it and reading it, and that's amazing, man. We'll
be finding that typo for you, Derek. You'll be like, yes, that one. That's where everything you do is wrong because of that one typo. Definitely.
Paul will be scouring over the magnifying glass. Where is it? Yeah.
It's 16 pages PDF. It's got it's one subclass 4 magic items, each more powerful than the last. All of them are completely homebrew, stuff that I lifted out of my own lore and then made it a little bit more setting agnostic, so you could even drop it into like Forbidden Realms stuff if you wanted to.
Oh, cool.
Or Forgotten Realms, not Forbidden, I'm sorry. Like official setting, anything. Also, you have to do that to sell it on DM's Guild. And then, it's also got an NPC, Big Bad Evil guy, that's like designed to be a boss. And he can teleport to a giant flying owl. That is
I'm
like,
in. I'm all about big owls. Yeah, you've had me. That's it. I'm in.
We
I'm
are
sold.
sold on that now. Yeah, you should have just started with that. But yep, giant owl, I'm there.
Yeah, any form of fat owl, I am involved. Yeah, that's great, man. Would you say you have a particular style when it comes to playing and DMing? Have you got would you say there's like a Derek trademark?
playing probably. Because I'm playing like pretty much only time I play anymore is in actual plays, and
Yeah.
the thing about actual plays is that it's as much of a game as it is like a production, like a show, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to be willing to bring drama to the table, and it's not always appropriate to do so. Sometimes you have to let it be a down moment. Even when you're like, oh, I really want to do this one thing, sometimes you can't really do it because it's like it's not going to suit the purposes of the show. It's something that you might do if it's a game, but it's a game and a show, and you have to remember that. So, as a player, I think that the thing that I bring to the table is, aside from the fact that I run production on pretty much all the shows,
Juggling. Yeah. Oh man.
Which is a huge help, by the way. I'll just say it's a huge help. As someone who DMs and does production, and as someone who plays DMs while you do production, you doing production is a lot easier than me doing it at the same time. So thank you for that.
No problem. I'll be doing that tonight too with Covet.
Yes.
So I'll be running in doing the production side tonight. But I think for the player side, I just try to bring more drama to it appropriately. I'm not too put off if something bad happens to my character, because to me it's all drama, and that's the name of the game. That's what we're all there for. We're all there to share in those oh shit moments, right? Like that's why we play these games. As a DM, I don't know, I have a tendency to go pretty dark and gritty. I have a real tendency to go pretty dark and gritty, like really brutal combat with the way that I like to describe things. I am a huge fan of taking what worked in older editions of Dungeons and Dragons, especially like dungeon grinds, exploration, hex crawls, stuff like that. All that good stuff. I like finding what works about those and integrating them into how I run, so that I don't have just any like one thing. I truly believe that, especially in Dungeons and Dragons, a game that takes like 3 to 4 hours a week to play, variety really is the spice of life. Yeah. So you don't ever just want to be doing only one thing, in my mind. Oh, yeah. You want to experience everything that the game has to offer. Kind of like a tour de force.
Amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Paul, how does that sound to you?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I can say that I've had you in a couple of my campaigns now. And when you mentioned that you don't mind bad things happening to your character, yeah, I've seen that on multiple occasions. You've said to me in Session Zeros, and followed through with it, if my character would make a bad decision, even though it is self-deprecating, I'm going to make that bad decision. And my mind goes back to the time, as a level 3 character, you picked a fight with Strahd, who was not a level 3 character, and you got your ass whipped. So, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And the few times I have seen you DM, I think you're absolutely right with that gritty, brutal description style of specifically combat, but just in general. You really bring a air and a feeling of threat, a realism to these fights. And you say that you like to add drama as a character, but I think that follows through as a DM as well. So you do a really good job on both sides of the board.
Thank you, man. A lot of that goes back to my players, if I'm being honest. Like, the role-playing stuff, we all aspire for good role-play, right? But my players really get into it, and really, like, that's, like, one of the core reasons why they are there. And they take care of the drama for me. I just show up and tell them what I think makes sense, and we roll with that, typically. I mean, I spend a lot of time in prep behind the scenes, especially in map making, but Yeah, my players are fantastic. I really couldn't ask for a better group. It's been a long time since I've had like a full group that I've DM'd for, and yeah,
Amazing.
it really makes a difference.
With regards to that, is there any homebrew rules or homebrew variants that you always have in your games from a DM perspective? As encumbrance comes to mind. Like, I never have encumbrance in my games. I just don't see the point in it. There's ways around it other than just saying you can carry X weight. So what about you? Is there anything you bring to your games?
I like encumbrance because it keeps them from taking everything that's not nailed down, and it really stifles wealth generation.
Okay.
It makes you can give them whatever the fuck you want to give them as a DM for loot, but maybe they can't carry it all, or they have to get creative with how they carry it all, and then they get rewarded for getting creative, because then the problem isn't only like, well, now I have to go down into the dungeon to find the loot. The problem is also, okay, there's literally 20 billion copper pieces down here. That's like 100,000 gold pieces. There's no shot I can carry all this. It won't even all fit in a portable hole. How much could we feasibly get out of a situation like that? I'm not saying I'm literally going to do 1 billion copper pieces. I'm just saying, like, for instance, like, maybe the loot that's at the bottom of the dungeon isn't just like a whole bunch of gold in a chest. Maybe it's like a huge, solid, like 5-foot tall statue of gold. That's why I like encumbrance, specifically for loot purposes.
Okay.
I don't really get too bogged down into it if it's like boring, but if it comes up and I feel like okay, we actually need to take a look at some things here, then I'll do it. But I'm not like, no, what's the put your are you under a heavy load now? You know what I mean? Like, I trust my players to run that. Plus, I play on Fantasy Grounds, which does everything for them.
Nice.
And that's really nice.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Healing potions as a bonus action, regular potions as a standard action. Sometimes I'll let specific potions be like bonus action potions, depending on how. If I feel like giving it out, like a haste potion as a bonus action, that's like an unbelievably good item, even though it's consumable. That would still be like a tier above just like a regular old potion of haste. And then let's see, are there any other homebrew rules that I bring? Not necessarily homebrew rules that I bring to the table, but I love strongholds and followers. I love what Matt Colville makes, a lot of the stuff that he makes. So I do use that book, which is technically homebrew. It's third party, but I am using that. I use that a lot.
Excellent.
Oh, that's amazing. An easy solution to encumbrance, by the way, is just give yourself a sentient mini fridge, as Paul knows. Then you can just check everything in that, and it'll follow you around. Maybe not so much, 50-foot golden statues, but now you can carry some chilled drinks around with you. No, that's cool. I mean, encumbrance. I'm a little bit torn on that. I can't help but picture like Elden Ring, where you change your weapon and then suddenly you've got this giant club that's just out of nowhere. That idea it tickles me a little bit. So
yeah. In the last like big dungeon that I ran Covet Syndicate through, there was this like doldrum for a bell that was completely made out of a diamond, and like the doldrum in the bell was like huge. So it's like one of the single most valuable things you'll ever see ever, and it's like 7,000 pounds. So like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, also the place is crumbling around you. So
yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. Would you say? I mean, because you are, like I say, you are like so busy. You seem to always be streaming, always doing something with the TTRPG community. And I mean, first of all, how do you find the time? Secondly, I mean, is there anything that you find like really difficult with streaming? Is there something that what do you find the most difficult with it? Because it is tricky to become a master of, but you've done pretty damn well.
Oh, I don't know. I guess to answer the first question, I don't really do much else, honestly. It's kind of my whole life. I go to work at my day job, and then I come home and I stream and I spend time with my wife. I take my dog out for walks. That's me, dude. If I'm not doing that, then I'm doing prep for stuff behind the scenes. Maybe squeezing in a little bit of Elden Ring, which I've also been streaming Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of my whole life. So
Amazing.
I don't really know if I could say that I find the time for it as much as I've just kind of revolved everything else around it.
Yeah, and I mean, you must have like a dream what you want to do with it. I mean, where do you want it to go? I know that's a big question, but I mean, you're clearly so passionate about it and you work so hard at it. I mean, have you got a dream? Can you see what do you want to achieve out of it?
That's the thing, is that it's like it's really hard to actualize and articulate, and maybe it's because it's still just so fresh and so new. But like I feel, and when I look at things like realistically, and maybe it's just like the depression and like shit, you know what I mean? Like we all go through shit. We've all had people like try to squish our dreams before. But when I look at things realistically, you know, like I would say if I could earn what I earn at my day job streaming, then I would do it. You know what I mean? I'd quit my day job and I'd do what I do now. The problem is that I teach people how to work on airplanes, which means that it's I had to work for that day job. It's not something that anybody can come off the street and do, and so it would be a while before something like that could ever potentially happen. If I'm talking about like outlandish daydreams, honestly, just enough to where I can most importantly support my family, my wife, you know, that
Yeah.
obviously most important thing. But B, actually like be able to promote ideas that I like and people and concepts that they're developing on like a larger scale. I've seen what like Matt Colville has been able to do
Right.
with his company MCDM, where like they have like a whole lot of shit and they're just giving like all these creators like so much room to just like, yeah, man, make what you want to make. Obviously we're going to make sure it's, you know, in line with our brand and it's not, you know, wrong or something, but like just make what you want to make, and
Yeah.
we want to give you a platform for that, and we want to give you credit for that, and that's what I want to do too. For me, theater was something that I was really into when I was in high school. My parents made me quit after like ninth grade, which really sucked. Back to the religion thing that I was talking about earlier. So an opportunity to play the game that or the games and do the activity that I really enjoy doing because it incorporates that and do it in a way that makes it kind of like theater, like a production.
Yeah.
For me, that was like a really easy place to start at because I see a lot of people making freaking awesome supplements on like Twitter and DMs Guild and stuff, and they get like no traction. They get like no traction whatsoever, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna use this in my own game. Why doesn't like everybody know about this? Why aren't people like talking about this? You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are incredibly capable and incredibly smart and really know their shit. And most people live a life of quiet desperation, and it's because they don't know what they're supposed to do or they can't bring themselves to do it. And if I can take some of the legwork out of that and just promote more dope content and get more cool fucking people to have eyes on their shit and like be able to provide a means for themselves or just have more time to invest in doing the shit that they like to do and be able to create more as a result of that, then that's the goal. Like then I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do. You know, I don't know that I believe in things like fate or destiny, and I know this is getting kind of like woo and abstract, but like I don't know if I believe in things like that, but I certainly believe that like each person has the capacity to have a self-determined purpose. I mean, that's like what the 20th century was about, right? We had like 2 fucking world wars about that. And I mean, like I definitely think that we all have the right to choose what it is that we're supposed to do with our life and whatever seems to be the most true to that individual, the path that it is that they're supposed to follow, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, obviously. Like that's what you're supposed to do. And if you're not doing that, then I mean you're really the only person that you're hurting, but you are kind of doing the wrong thing. I don't want to say that like you're a bad person. Obviously I wouldn't want to judge somebody like that, but like if you're not doing what you feel like you're supposed to be doing, like man, you got to. It will improve your life vastly, despite the fact that it's going to take everything out of you. Like it will make you feel like you are actually headed somewhere and not just aimless, like I felt for so much of my own life.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
that's incredible. I mean, it's I mean, what to say to that? I mean, you're so right. It's all about trying to make a living out of doing good and creating a community that also does good and spreading the joy and spreading all the good stuff. I mean, dare I say, a lot of the jobs on offer or ways to earn a living in life are not as fulfilling as that. It's and why not? You know, I mean, go for it, man. I mean, you're doing all of the right things as far as we can see. I'm sure Paul agrees. Mm-hmm. You know, you're putting yourself in all of the best positions to do it. That's the dream, man, and fair play. You know, kudos to you.
Absolutely. I think going back to your idea or your dream or your passion of promoting other people's work who have good work but don't know how to promote it or show it off or give it traction, like you said. It's a sad state, but an inevitable one, that if you want to be successful when creating new products, you have to do that networking. You have to be on Twitter every single day. You have to dedicate to it as much as you would a 9-to-5 job or a retail job or whatever. And it's exhausting. It is so exhausting having to put all that legwork in just to eventually make a sale of your product or make a sale of yourself. And if somebody like yourself could say, that's good enough, I want to share it with my community, so that that person doesn't have to put in that legwork, I think it would save a lot of people a lot of energy and time, and it sounds like a definitely worthy cause without a shadow of a doubt. So, mad props to you for wanting to do that and seeing that someone needs to do that, because, Twitter's tiring, man. Like, it's hard. I hate network in real life, and I can just about do it on Twitter because I'm behind a screen. But, I find it exhausting even doing that.
I think the community is a little bit, the TTRPG community is, is a little bit different in that respect. I mean, you say networking in real life is, not very good. I mean, if you're putting on a suit and talking about finances, networking sucks. But if you're going into a room full of like-minded, creative people who, as Derek says, all do amazing stuff that goes unnoticed, and wrongly so. I mean, I'm all for that. Get me in a room with all of those nerds. It's all good.
Networking with creatives, I would gesture or venture to say, is like even harder than just networking with like business people. It's like I've done both, and I'll tell you right now, it's really easy to find out what the motivations of a business person is. They just want money. They just want growth, 15% per quarter for their company, so that they get that nice Christmas bonus. That's it. That's all they want. When you're talking about what creatives want, you have to figure out, like, first, most importantly, who is this person? Like, who are they actually behind the screen? Because there are some people out there that are absolutely wonderful, and you can come to rely on them and like talk to them like every day, and like you love that person. You know what I mean? And then there's some other people out there that they act one way to everyone else, but then behind the screen they are not a very good person, and it's kind of up to us to like figure out who those are and make sure that they can't affect people that we care about in our communities. Because, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly feel as though my community is in part a reflection of who I am, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
What you allow, you tolerate. What you tolerate, you condone, essentially.
Yeah.
So if you're allowing this like cesspit of like trolls and like degenerates to breed on your Discord, then you can't be surprised when nobody wants to be your friend, because everybody that hangs out with you is just a bunch of chuds. Like, even if you aren't personally a chud, you have to take responsibility for your community.
I've never heard
to
that
monitor
word.
that.
I've never heard that word, a chud. I'm using that one more often. No chuds allowed. That should
Let's
be
introduce that. That's coming to the UK very soon. Chud. Oh man. I mean, and you created this community, and you're right. You gotta look after the people, and there's a few people that that you gotta aren't themselves behind the scenes. They're putting on a mask sometimes, and that's hard to find sometimes. But I mean, I like to think the majority of TTRPG people look out for each other and do what's best for each other, because I think everyone's got that. I mean, that's what makes it so great. That's why I love it. Everyone's luckily, cross fingers, nearly everyone I've spoken to is sort of, either welcome me in or been really supportive or really, offer amazing creativity, all of the above. But
100%. Yeah, most people are fantastic. The only reason I bring that up is because, like, I feel like we do kind of have to acknowledge that, like, building a community isn't always just like sunshines and puppy dogs.
No.
Sometimes you gotta take the belt off. You
gotta protect people. I know Paul on the Homebrew Havoc server. He's if you're doing something that doesn't adhere to community standards as outlined on the on the server, then I know Paul comes down with the hammer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you, Dave, but I have zero tolerance. Zero tolerance policy. Yeah, that's it.
No fucks.
Yeah, that's it. I have a no fucks policy on my Discord. If you start stepping out of line, you might get a warning if it appears accidental or like stepping away. But yeah, as soon as you cross that line, I'm like, gone, bye. And I will name and shame. I don't care. This is a hobby and I love it, but it's still just a hobby of mine. And while I am as passionate can be, I don't care. What are you gonna do? Make it so I have less followers? Fine. If that's a sacrifice I have to make to distance myself from someone I don't like, then that's the sacrifice I make.
Yeah, it's the one you got to be willing to make too. Yeah. Like, props to you. You got to be willing to make that because, like, it doesn't matter if they're a big name and a popular person. If they're a fucking piece of shit, why do you want to associate with them? Like, those are questions you have to ask yourself, especially as like a creator and a community builder. You don't want to be friends with those people.
Get rid of the bad eggs for the good of the good eggs.
Yeah. I've not had to ban. I think I've removed 2 people from my Discord, and that's not because they were strictly bad on the Discord, but because they were bad in another space. I'm like, well, if you can be bad there, what's stopping you from being bad in my Discord? And I'm like, nope, bye.
Same thing. I've had people that, like, I was planning on having on, like, shows and shit that have had to be like, oh, somebody's, like, told me in the background, like, oh, hey, actually, this person's, like, an abuser, or, like, this person's, like, a manipulative piece of shit. Like, oh, well, I don't want anything to do with them, and I have a little fucking hidden thing on my Discord called the Scrolls of Annihilation that I just type in a name and my mods take care of it. So
right, enough of the negativity. There's some out there, but we're not focusing on that. We're here to talk to you, Derek, who, touch wood, is not a negative influence in the TTRPG.
Not.
Yeah, not yet.
Once you consider telling GMs to kill their players, negative.
But yeah, so back to your community and your Twitch. We call it a TV channel in jest, but it rarely is that. Do you have any advice for someone who either wants to appear on your channel, and what sort of player/DM you're looking for, or for someone who wants to start their own community, wants to start their own channel and Twitch streaming service? What sort of advice do you have for those people?
So could you give me the first question again? Because my ADHD focused on the second one and I forgot what you said in the first one.
What do you look for in terms of players or DMs appearing on your channel?
Okay, great. I really like. I mean, it's hard to quantify what you mean when you say like-minded individuals, but people that kind of like have the same perspective that I do. They want to elevate good ideas and they want to have like a positive space and a positive place in the community, and they want to like bring other people up. That's a huge one. I don't really like to promote people that are just negative all the time. After we just get through saying a whole bunch of unpleasant shit about community building, I understand the hypocrisy, but you have to understand it's not the same thing. So number one, I don't like to give a platform to people that are just negative all over social media. Player or DM, it's just not a good look, and it's going to reflect poorly on me. Now, if somebody just has hot takes or like, you know, they have some shit that they really feel like they need to talk about, then like that's completely different. But I'm saying like people that are just raging into the abyss all the time, that is not the kind of people that I like to associate with typically. Contagious. People that I do look for though, people that I trust.
Yeah,
I know that's kind of a cop out, but like honestly, if I'm trusting you with a platform in any capacity, I want to get to know you and trust you. And that's not to say I'm not above like taking a risk on people.
Yeah.
You know, I took a risk on everybody at first, right? Like I didn't know anybody, and I'm still kind of like in the background behind the scenes. I'm taking a huge risk on somebody else, but they have the credentials. They know what they're doing. They have done this before on other platforms, other people's platforms, and they have done it successfully, and they're great at it. And that is like a huge thing. Like, in kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, I have I'm working with the creative who runs Fandolin by Night on Vancouver by Night.
Awesome.
More AD, I believe, is her Twitter handle. She's fantastic. Runs phenomenal content. And she asked me, "Can I run something on your channel?" And it was instantly like, "Yeah, absolutely, you can do that." Like, I know who you are, for one. Like, independently of like my own stuff, I know who you are, and like number two, you're a professional and like courteous as it gets. Absolutely, I would love the opportunity to work with you, 100%. So yeah, when I'm looking for someone, it's like looking for somebody to go into business with, as kind of soulless as that sounds. You have to be smart about it. It's your baby. You have to trust the people that you're putting your baby's life hands in. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's what I'm looking for. And the second question again was what?
Where someone who is trying to create their own community or integrate themselves into the TTRPG community, what advice do you have for them?
Let your work speak for itself, but promo the shit out of it. On promo days, get really busy, plugging your stuff, networking with people. You will, and this isn't advice that I coined myself. This is something that I heard from B. Dave Walters when How Not to DM interviewed him on his podcast.
Legend.
Legend. You will make friends that you will all kind of rise up with together. And whether that's you making that bridge first and then like, hey, we can work together, you know, or that's them asking to work with you. Obviously, again, everything that I said earlier, you got to do your legwork. You got to make sure it's somebody that you have like that's of the like mind, that you have certain goals and ambitions with, and that isn't a chud. And you really have to like find that group of people and work together. And you know, it's not like a coordinated, concerted effort where we're all like, hey boys, we're all posting on this and like that. I mean, you can do that, but that's going to feel really insincere, to be honest. Like, sounds really insincere. But like you kind of have to work together to like get where it is that you're trying to go, and you have to find people that are around your level. You're all starting out at like the same level, right? You have to find people that are around your same level, and you have to grind together until you level up. It's a fucking RPG, you know what I mean? Like, it's you got to put in the legwork, and don't reach beyond your grasp. I know how that sounds, but like, I'm not gonna fucking reach out to Matt Mercer and ask him if I can run something on Critical Role, am I? No. I'm not saying that like people with a few thousand followers have the same gap between them as like me and Matt Mercer. I'm just saying, like, if you're friends with somebody and they're way bigger than you and you are comfortable asking them, then you can probably ask them if you can be involved with them in some regard. If you feel weird about it, then though, probably shouldn't ask. Probably shouldn't. However, if you bring something to the table that other people don't, and you are incredibly good at what you do, then you can probably skip over that. But you have to have work that speaks for itself. That's the number one thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you are at networking, it doesn't matter how fantastic you are at marketing. What really matters to me, and I hope most other people, is the content of what it is that you're actually coming up with. Because if you bring something legit to the table, that will supersede pretty much anything else, as long as, again, you're a good person that has like-minded goals.
I completely agree with that. Like, good advice there. Like, just don't ask for handouts from people, and not bring anything for yourself. Not bring anything unique. You know, USPs are exactly it. That's why Homebrew Havoc is all homebrew, because that was my unique selling point. And whenever I reached out to people, even accounts way bigger than mine, I'm thinking like Abyssal Brews, who were like just huge compared to me in general. I was like, I know I'm really small, but this is what I'm bringing to the table. I really want you to be a part of that. if I'd have just gone, oh yeah, I'm just another streamer amongst 1,000 streamers, and not put in that legwork and not found that USP, I think I would have gotten a very different response. But yeah, I love the fact that you brought up find people on your level, because it's exactly what I did. So when I first started entering and gaining that follower count up to like the 500 mark, in my head, it was you, Lost Haven, Callum, I think Valiant. Was it Valiant or Mr. Valiant? Who has
Mr. Valiant, yeah.
Who's dwindled down a little bit now. We stepped away, and I was like, I'm gonna put myself near these people so much that eventually we could all rise up together, and it's exactly what we did. And while what's great is when I came in, I saw people like Abyssal Brews, How Not to DM, Roll for Romance, Roll the Damn Dice as the tier above me. Right? And what I really like now is that I'm being followed by people who might see me the same way I saw them, and that blows my mind that I'm now in a position that they were when I first came in. I'm like, that's horrifyingly scary, but so amazing. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, people are approaching me and going, oh, you're a pillar of the community. And I'm like, I'm really not. I'm barely a cobblestone in this thing. But then I look
that's
at
how I feel.
Yeah, then I look at what I've created, I'm like, no, I am a pillar of this community. Like, only a small pillar, but people know who I am. And that's so amazing from the nothing that we started with, and I'm sure you'll agree, Derek, to now being seen like that. It dawns on me every time I get a follower on Twitter, and I'm like, that's insane. That's insane.
Oh, yeah. It's super humbling, too. Like, sorry, I didn't cut you off, Callum.
No, I was just going to say, Paul was, when he started, he'd turn up at my house at 3 a.m. he'd throw rocks at my window. It's like, come on, Cal, we've got to do some. I'm joking, of course. He was ever the gentleman, and it was through you, Derek. That
it really was. It really was. We clung onto you as you rose above the ranks, and begged that you dragged us up that hill along with you. So
you don't sell yourself short. I mean, you guys fucking showed up. I mean, you're a phenomenal role player and like voice actor, Callum. You're a phenomenal videographer and like DM, Paul. So like, you didn't just come to me with nothing and like, hey, can I ride your coattails? It was like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. Can I sit at the table? And I was like, yeah, I like the cut of your jib. Let's eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it takes. You gotta be willing to take the risk on those people. Like, I didn't know you guys from Adam when we first met, but now I really like you guys. Like, we're all friends here. Like, I literally was sad when we fucking knew that Curse of Strahd was going to be falling apart because we lost a player. But I was like, no, I'm not willing to give you guys up because I really like you.
That's very kind, man. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be a part of it, and long may it continue. Yeah, amazing. Just on that note, then, I mean, we'll be wrapping up shortly, but I mean, you've done so many campaigns and been involved with so many things. I mean, have you got a most memorable moment from a campaign?
Got a lot. It's going to be really hard to narrow it down to one. It's really hard. It's really hard because there's been so many, honestly. It's not like bullshit like, oh man, let me like scramble my head. It's like a bunch of popping into my mind. The finale, I guess just because it's the freshest on my mind, I'll go with it. The finale to I'm a Medic Mori, where like we all died off one by one except for the last player character, and like the whole time I was playing this like absolute bastard who just got more sadistic and cruel as time went on, and like quote unquote sacrificed myself in like the season 1 finale just so I could figure out how to like not be shackled to one body, and I could just like body hop by killing the first villain that we really came across. And so like after like all this crazy shit, it just worked out in such a way that like the one player character who lived had a son, and his son was basically like God reborn and given flesh, and he sent his son away, and like without him knowing about it, like I smuggled his son back over, and like because I needed him for this like ritual to bind my god to like archdeity status of the planet. She was not a good god either. She's pretty evil. And so I do it, I have him, corrupt. I corrupt him. I have him murder this one character to bind my god to the world. And then we show up to where everything else has been going on this whole time, and like it's like all this crazy shit, and like there was this back and forth for like the whole second season with Red's character, Shortstop, and Klaus's character, Mr. Sneak, where it was like they're gonna come to blows, they're gonna fucking kill each other, like it's gonna happen. And I gave Mr. Sneak a weapon that was capable of killing a god, and in like the 5 minutes to midnight, like the final hour, they all pull together because me being the evil, belligerent motherfucker that I am, saw the opportunity when I teleported in with Shortstop's son, and I'm holding his son kind of like a puppet with this knife like up from where he just plunged it into the sacrifice. And he sees me, and he's like, "You motherfucker," and he has a specific ability that lets him annihilate souls. And so he runs up to me and just punches me into nothing, like instantly, just I'm out, I'm gone, can't come back, no new body, nothing, I'm gone. But the knife falls, and it slices his son's hand open. And there's this villain that's been present throughout the entire thing since like episode 2 or 3 of the first season, that's like a necromancer capable of controlling like tiny minute amounts of dead shit. And that gave him the juice, just that little bit of God's blood gave him the juice to like, okay, now I'm going to try to ascend to godhood. And instantly just boom, like the whole place like erupted in this like spinning whir of like blades of bone and sinew and like all the fucking like craziest shit. And the other 3 players, one of them fucking died, gave his life to like make an opening. The other fucking like jumped in, starts like stabbing the shit out of him, and gets like enwrapped in like all these bloody like bone blades. And he's like, and this is Klaus's character that we thought that he was gonna fucking kill Mr. Sneak. And you know what he does? He says, "Fuck you," and he takes the damage and pulls the bad guy closer to him, giving Shortstop, Red's character, the opportunity to just finish him off completely. And
wow,
we dropped like flies. It was super fucking epic, and we remade the world.
That is incredible, man. What an ending that is. Everyone listening to that, take note. That is how you do it right there.
Wow. Shout out to CC, man. It was fucking epic.
Oh, man. Yeah, huge shout out there. That's amazing. Do you know what? I might have to end things there. What an absolutely amazing ending to a campaign. And, of course, to this interview. Our very first interview. And Cal's questions in association with Ampersand Productions. Paul is kindly joining us and will be joining us every week. Mm-hmm. Special thanks to our guest, Derek from DM Studios. Derek, is there anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Interviews are great. Make me feel really important. So I'm just kidding. No, I really did have a good time, though. Thank you for having me on here. Shout outs to everybody working on my channel. I'm going to forget people if I go in individually, so I'm just going to say the people that are running the games and everybody associated with those games. Paul, we're about to play in just a little bit, so shout outs to Paul. Shout outs to Red, who we're taking a little bit of a hiatus from the game that he was running, but we're going to be coming back with a brand new game, brand new campaign. It's going to be a blast, so shout outs to Red. Shout outs to Andy for running Irizumi and Legend of Five Rings. Andy, you're fantastic. And then shoutouts to Will. You Burnt Coin. You ran
Legend
Single Shot Saturdays, and I'm going to be joining a campaign on his channel in the near future. So super looking forward to that. And then let me make sure I'm not forgetting. I feel like I'm definitely forgetting somebody. Depending on when this comes out, I'm going to shout out anyway. Shoutouts to S Moore from Fandolin by Night. Going to be running something new on my channel. And shoutouts to Cece for running fucking Inomedic Mori. Phenomenal campaign. We just wrapped on that. And I'm actually going to have Fridays off for a while. I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah, shout outs to all these wonderful creatives, all the phenomenal role players that take part in everything that I do each week. Shout out to my wife for looking after me, making sure that I don't wither away and starve to death. Yeah, all you guys, I love you all. You're fantastic. Literally could not do what I do without you. Thank you. I love you.
Oh, wow. Amazing, Derek. And where can people find you and DM Studios?
Every day at twitch.tv/dmdmstudios. Wednesdays, we only stream once a month. And then Thursdays, I'm going to be moving over to twitch.tv/theburntcoin once that starts. But other than that, every day at twitch.tv/dmdmstudios or twitter.com/dmdmstudios.
Amazing. So make sure you all check that out. For those listening on audio, you won't be able to see this, but I am wearing a DMDM Studios t-shirt.
Legend.
I love it. I have worn it for exactly 3 weeks and I stink. But I am not taking this off because I love that design, and I suggest you all check it out too. And when this comes up on YouTube, you'll see it there. Paul, is there anything you'd like to say?
Check out Homebrew Havoc. You can find myself at Ampersand D20 on Twitter, and I'm posting about it almost daily. So join our Discord, check us out on Thursday nights, 3 Thursdays in a month, and I'll see you there, where you can find myself and the excellent Callum there as well as a player. So come check out that.
All right, amazing. Well, I'm Callum, and that was the first episode of Cal's Questions on the Ampersand D20 Twitch channel and beyond. Yeah, join us next time. We'll have plenty more guests, and thanks to Derek for joining us for this first episode. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.